Hello, and welcome to channel Ein Key, and I am your host, Voluntary. It seems that the upcoming election is going to be messy. That we can tell for sure. One prediction that I find most likely is the Red Mirage, wherein Trump wins on Election Day, but a week later, after the mail-in votes are counted, Biden pulls ahead. Both sides may have grounds to declare themselves the winner based on the results. Trump could declare himself the winner while it is still contested, which scares the press. Biden could declare himself the winner while it is still contested, which doesn't scare the press. I guess one outcome is better to them. Meanwhile, there are people in the left media gloating about the possibility of an interim President Pelosi. I can say with absolute certainty that will not happen. Speaker Pelosi is third in line. That is true. She is third in line if both the president and vice president are unable to finish their terms due to death, disability, resignation, or removal from office. That is absolutely not the same as an undetermined election. There actually is a process for an undetermined election, a whole different and separate process outlined in the Constitution. Election Day in 2020 is November 3rd, but that is not the only critical date. On December 14th, the electors meet in their respective states to vote, and then they transmit their votes to Congress. On January 6th, the Congress, in a joint session, counts the votes, and the President of the Senate announces the winner. Finally, on January 20th, the President is inaugurated. Most people are really only aware of Election Day and Inauguration Day, the dates in between being somewhat procedural at this point. This is not a normal year, though, given how likely the election will be undecided for a prolonged time. Some of the states may actually not be done with the recounts and challenges by December 14th. It is possible that Republican governors may simply declare a contested election in favor of Trump, which scares the press. It is possible that Democrat governors may simply declare a contested election in favor of Biden, which doesn't scare the press. I guess one outcome sounds better to them. It is possible a state might not send electors until it is decided. It is even possible that a state may send two slates of electors if the legislature of that state opposes the governor of that state. There is not right now an established procedure for what to do in the event of competing slates of electors. The last time that happened, it did not change the outcome, so there was no urgency to settle the matter. However, if neither candidate manages to achieve 270 electoral votes, there is a procedure for that. It is outlined in Article 2, Amendment 12, and Amendment 20. The text of the 12th Amendment reads, "The person having the greatest number of votes for president shall be president, if such a number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed, and if no person have such majority, then from the persons having the highest number not exceeding 3 on the list of those voted for as president, the House of Representatives shall choose immediately by ballot the president. But in choosing the president, the vote shall be taken by states, the representation from each state having one vote. A quorum for this purpose shall consist of a member or members from 2/3 of the states, and a majority of all the states shall be necessary to a choice." So that means if neither candidate manages to achieve 270 electoral votes, it falls to the House to choose the president and the Senate to choose the vice president. Assuming no major changes to the legislature, the Senate will likely choose Vice President Pence to be the vice president-elect. The real action is in the House, which is currently majority Democrat. One might think that is good for Biden, but that is not the case. The House of Representatives as a whole does not choose, but instead the states as delegations choose, so there will be 50 votes cast in the House. Right now, as it currently stands, there are 27 states whose delegation is majority Republican, 21 states whose delegation is majority Democrat, and 2 states where the delegation is 50% Democrat. If such a vote were taken right now, the House would elect Trump. True, it will be a new House taking the vote, but again, it isn't the House as a whole, but state delegations. There are 4 states that have the greatest potential to switch. These are Michigan, Pennsylvania, Colorado, and Florida. Given that the split is by 1 person, if only 1 Republican seat in any of those states becomes a Democrat seat, the delegation as a whole switches. There are actually 5 more states that would require 1 seat to change to flip the state. But all of these are deep red states with exactly 1 representative: Alaska, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Wyoming. It seems unlikely that any of these would turn blue. Assuming no changes, the outcome will be 27 votes for Trump and 21 votes for Biden, making Trump the new president-elect. Assuming some of the 4 contested states flip, that still leaves a majority of states voting for Trump. Only if all 4 flip do we end up with a tie. Still, Nancy Pelosi has options, assuming she remains Speaker. She could work to actively flip the delegations of the states. There are procedures she could use to try this should the election results remain muddled. If any particular House seat is undecided by the time the new Congress convenes, the House may choose which one of the 2 candidates to seat. Normally, that seat remains vacant until such time as a proper decision can be made, but that is not required. That means in the 4 states most likely to flip, she has the power to forcibly flip the states by seating the Democrats in a close race. Still, that does not bring her up to 26 states. Since she would have great difficulty flipping the single representative of deep red states, her best hope is to pick one of the states where the margin is wider but still narrow, which means states where it is necessary for 2 seats to flip: Idaho, Kansas, Mississippi, Nebraska, South Carolina, Utah, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. Again, it seems unlikely. It is possible that one of those 13 states might actually be contested, but unlikely. So, in the event of an Electoral College impasse, there are 3 outcomes. The House elects Trump, or the House elects Biden by the means described above, or the House is a perfect tie. Well, what happens in the event of a perfect tie? That is when they have a placeholder, and that is described in the 20th Amendment. If a president shall not have been chosen before the time fixed for the beginning of his term, or if the president-elect shall have failed to qualify, then the vice president-elect shall act as president until a president shall have qualified, and the Congress may, by law, provide for the case wherein neither a president-elect nor a vice president-elect shall have qualified, declaring who shall then act as president, or the manner in which one who is to act shall be selected, and such person shall act accordingly, until a president or vice president shall have qualified. It does seem possible for Nancy Pelosi to tie up the House in a 25-25 split. That doesn't make her acting president, though. Here the 20th Amendment takes over, and the vice president-elect becomes the acting president until such time as the deadlock may be broken. The vice president-elect will not be Biden or Harris or Pelosi in an undetermined electoral outcome, since Pence will have been chosen by the Senate back on January 14th. So if it is undecided, he will be the one in charge starting January 20th. Thank you for watching. We're now in the double digits for subscribers, and hopefully we will only keep growing. So please like, share, comment, and subscribe to help my channel grow.